March 2024, I hit $6,000, almost $7,000. And then my world stopped. I really wanted to come out here and share the story with you guys about how I really went from being a broke stay-at-home mom, and I don't even like saying it because, you know, life or death lies in the power of the tongue. I don't want to call myself broke. I wasn't a brokey. I'm not a brokey. But, you know, being a stay-at-home mom, you had no way, or you really have no way of making coins unless you make a way for yourself. So let me just tell you guys a story about how I made a way for myself to generate 5 figures in my online business the first year that I got started. Okay, now of course, when I say 5 figures, you could be like, that could be any figure. Way closer to 6 figures than not. Let me just give you guys a little bit of behind the scenes of how digital products literally changed my life. Now, if you're new to my channel, I made a video about this last year, like when I first, was starting my business and it was starting to take off. But I wanted to update you guys because a lot has transpired since then. And I really want you guys to just understand and know that whatever you put your mind to, whatever you decide to do, who you decide to be, and who God has called you to be is inside of you. All you have to do is tap into it. Back in 2022, I graduated from college. I was 8 months pregnant with my son, and I knew that I did not want to put him in daycare. But honestly, y'all, I've always known that I was meant to be an entrepreneur. I've been saying I was going to be an entrepreneur since I was little. The only other reason that I steered away from that is because other adults were telling me, like, why don't you want to be a doctor? You don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. And so for a while, I was telling people that I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. But once I started to actually watch plastic surgeries and get into that, I was like, heck no, that is not gonna happen for me. Okay, that is not what I'm doing. After that, I graduated from college. Me and my now husband, we got ready to have our son. I literally had my son the next day, or not the next day, the next month, after I graduated from school. So from that day forward, I was trying to figure stuff out. Okay, I was trying to figure it out. Your girl was trying to figure it out, honey. I didn't know what was going on, what I was gonna do. When I first got started, I connected with some girls on Twitter because at that time, UGC content creation was really popular. And if you're not familiar with UGC content creation, it is basically where you make videos for brands, and they don't, you don't have to post it on your account, they post it on their account. So they pay you for ads and things like that. So that was, a cool little penny, but it wasn't coming in consistently because, for one, at that time, a lot of brands were not familiar with UGC content creation, so they were looking for creators, once again, that had a lot of followers. And I wasn't confident enough in myself to negotiate deals and just do all the things that I can do now. So, like I said, that was a cool little penny back then, but I really focused and I honed in on my craft. I honed in on content creation. I honed in on speaking to people. I honed in on making connections and networking with people online because that was something I never really tapped into before. Fast forward a little bit to the end of 2022, I started dibbling and dabbling into Pinterest because at that time, Pinterest had a creator fund. So your girl was trying to get into the creator fund because they were paying good, great. I never was able to get into the creative fund. I prayed and I wish that I was, but I know that was all in God's plan for me to be here where I am right now. Like I said, I was on Pinterest. I ended up going viral on Pinterest because me and my husband, we had took maternity photos at the time for our first son, and those went viral on Pinterest. So I'm like, oh, okay. Why am I not getting paid for this? I was real confused. So I'm like, okay, let's move on to the next thing because that's not paying any bills. So moving on into summer of 2023. So now at this time, me and my husband had moved into our next apartment because we moved back home to our hometown, and we moved into our apartment, and still it was just guys, living on one income is just not gonna cut it. Now, if you guys hear my baby cooing in the background, y'all know I'm a mom, so that's my second baby, y'all. But I'll get into about him in a second. But yeah, so you guys know living on one income is just not gonna cut it these days. So essentially I had to figure something out once again. So moving on into the summer going into fall of 2023, I came across something called MRR digital products. But let me just backtrack a little bit because I skipped some. I had actually tried to sell digital products in 2022 because once I went viral on Pinterest, I'm like, okay, I can teach people how to go viral on Pinterest. And so that is what I started creating content about. And I created a digital product. I did Pinterest audits, and I was making sales. I made at least 2 to 3 sales, y'all. I had a lot of people purchase my freebie, but as far as my paid Pinterest audits, I had about 2 or 3 people purchase from that. So, it was really God telling me girl, you know what you're doing. You just got to keep going. And I was, once again, not confident enough. I didn't know what I was doing is what I could be doing. That makes sense? I didn't know. Let's just say I didn't know. So like I said, going back into summer and fall of 2023, I came across something called MRR digital product. If you don't know what MRR is, MRR stands for master resale rights. Now, what does this mean? A master resale rights digital product means that you can purchase a product that someone else has made and resell it as your own, essentially, for 100% profits. So it's not essentially like affiliate marketing where the person that created it would get an affiliate commission from my sale. They get nothing. Essentially, like it's me starting a business from something that someone else created. So I got started with that. And I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. When I first got started, I made 2 sales when I first got started. 2, because I hopped right on live like I saw the other girl that I purchased from doing. I hopped on live on TikTok, made those 2 sales, but after that it was crickets. You guys want to know why? It's because I didn't have a marketing strategy. I just jumped out there like, okay, I can do this. This is what I'm doing. And I made those 2 sales, but I had no sense of direction after that. I didn't know what I was doing after that or how to effectively market, even though I have a marketing degree. So what I did was I went through the course, because I know a lot of people, they purchase things like this and they don't go through what they purchase, and so they essentially just turning around and trying to flip something, and they have no clue what they're talking about. So I went through the course. I learned from it. I learned how to create sales funnels. I learned how to effectively market. I learned how to create content. I learned how to grow on these different platforms, and so that is what I focused on from that day forward. So I began to network with other people who were essentially starting in the same position that I was, and we started growing together. I started getting on live more. I started building my community. I started gaining an audience. And so I was like, okay, I think I'm getting the hang of this. So around my birthday in December of 2023, I launched a bundle, and it was called the Digital Business Bundle, or the Baddie Business Bundle. That's what it was called, the Baddie Business Bundle. And I ran a flash sale for my birthday when I was turning 23. I made a good bit of sales because I was on live every single day. And I think I made at least $100 from it. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. Only that, I was in the midst of creating a course to teach people how to market on Pinterest. So while I was selling that Baddie Business Bundle, I was simultaneously building up my wait list for my Pinterest course. But this is when things started to get rocky. So I had over 100 people on my wait list. And then when I launched, it was crickets. So I'm like, what the heck? Like, why is it crickets? What the? So I had one person buy, y'all. One person. And what I learned from this was I did not know how to effectively launch a business. Over this whole time, y'all, I had been learning lessons to put me where I am today. But like, at that time, I had learned that I didn't know how to launch a business. I just expected for me to send out that email and people purchase, but I wasn't building anticipation. The only anticipation that I was building was my TikTok lives. So if you weren't on my TikTok live, but you had somehow found my waitlist on IG or something like that, then you weren't gonna know okay, it's launching today, but what's the significance? Like, what is it gonna do for me? And so I had to take it back a little bit, and I had to backtrack, and I had to think okay, Katera, how can you relaunch this in a way that's going to benefit not only you, but your customer? And so I took it back to the drawing board. I cried a little bit. I'm not even gonna lie. I called my friends, the ones that I network with online that were doing the same thing, and they encouraged me and told me to keep going. They were telling me, Katera, you always seem to figure it out, so figure it out. I essentially came to the conclusion that I just need to relaunch this. And so what I did was I put together a free webinar, but I did it on live every single day. So on TikTok Live, I was getting on there every single day. As soon as my husband would come home from work, I'm hopping on live right after him. And it got to where people were looking for me to be on live at that exact time, because they would also come into my lives and say, when is the next time you're going to be on? And so I'm like, okay, I'm on to something. And that is when it snapped and took off for me. So in January 2024, I made $3,000. Hit February 2024, I hit $5,000. In March 2024, I hit $6,000, almost $7,000. And in the midst of this, when I was hitting these $5,000 months, I purchased a car, y'all. I purchased a car. I furnished my home. I bought this couch that you guys are looking at. And at this time, people didn't know, but our house was empty, y'all. I furnished my whole entire home. I bought a new car in cash, paid in full. We have no car notes. And I was super proud of myself because I could never even imagine doing something like this. I felt on top of the world. I was just like, Jesus, this is it. And then, y'all, my world said, it stopped. Because why? Your girl saw those 2 lines on a pregnancy test. those 2 lines on a pregnancy test. Now, of course, at this time, I wasn't even expecting to get pregnant. Me and my husband were planning to have our wedding in November of 2024. And like I had, as a little girl, you always dream of having a wedding. But then when I saw those 2 lines on a pregnancy test, I'm like, okay, I can't keep doing this. So I did fall into a slight depression, y'all. I did. I stopped getting on live as much. I disappeared, really. I didn't get on live for almost an entire month. I stopped posting content. And so that really hurt me. That hurt me so bad because that momentum that I had built up, it stopped. And although I had things in place to continuously make sales, so I wasn't really worried about it because at that time, I had payment plans set up for people. I had mentorship payments. Like I still had payments rolling in, and I also had Pinterest still working for me in the background to where I was still maintaining those $5,000 months. But I knew that I was meant for bigger and I could do so much better if I had just put more work into it. That is when I came to the conclusion, like, okay, Katera, you're about to have this baby. And I had my son at the end of 2024. And I was like, okay, Katera, you have to do this because your sons, both of them, deserve better than what you're giving right now. Not only do you deserve better, but they deserve better because at that point in time, before you found out you were pregnant, you were doing the daggum thing. You were able to provide for them in a way that you've never been able to provide before. And then because I get upset that I'm pregnant, I let the spirit of depression come across me. I really was hurting from that and suffering. And so what I decided to do was I decided to build my business right back up from the ground up. I decided to be more consistent. Yeah, baby. Y'all hear him in the background. I decided to be more consistent. I decided to do what needed to be done in order to allow my family to have a life that we've always dreamed of. I knew that I couldn't sit back and dwell in it and wallow in my sorrows and just be depressed and just let it take over me because God has a plan for me. And God did not allow me to see that little taste of success just to come back and mess it up for myself. I got back on live. I started building up my content again. I started getting on YouTube again. And essentially now I'm finding a routine because now I do have 2 under 3. But now I am still, even after having that peak in my business, I'm still successful because I want it, because I know the skills. And God allowed me to go through those failures to learn how to launch, to learn how to create content, because now I can put all those things together to where I'm almost never gonna be broke because I'm utilizing the skills that I have to generate income for me and my family. I say all this to say, if you've ever wanted to do something like this, if you've ever wanted to start a business, if you've ever wanted to start a brand or just even go down a career field that someone else in your family has never done before, I'm going to tell you to do it. And I'm going to tell you, although life is still going to be lifing, it's going to be things that are thrown your way. It's going to be things that are thrown in front of you that are meant to make you stop or that are meant to make you fail. It's going to be people that talk down on you. It's going to be people that have no clue what you're doing, but they're going to talk until they see you succeed. I'm going to tell you to keep going, because if I were to stop when all of these things were happening to me, if I were to stop when I wasn't able to find a job before I even started my businesses, if I were to stop when people and family members talk about me because they don't understand what I'm doing and they don't want to support, if I were to stop when there are days that I don't feel like doing something, or if my husband weren't here to support me, not saying that you all have someone there, but be that support for yourself. Be that person that's going to push yourself to see and live the life that you've always dreamed of, because we all have the ability to do it. We all have the ability to create and generate wealth. This is your sign to do so. So if you are ready to get started, I do have a course down in the description that you can get started with, and it is MRR. So if you want something that you can just flip it and reverse it, go down in my description and look at the Royale Business Academy. It is super affordable. Go check it out. Or you can also get my freebie and look at the other course options that I have in the description. Do not sleep on yourself. Do not give up on yourself. You can do this. So I love you guys. If you like this video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. But come on and join the family. We are family. I got them. Yeah, y'all know the song. Come join the family, okay? Don't be afraid. And comment down below if you want to get started with these. What is your biggest fear? What is something that is holding you back? Because your fear of looking stupid is holding you back. I'm gonna leave it right there. All right? So bye, y'all.